Hello everyone, welcome back to a brand new video, and today is the day I made my Dirty Bertie books. I'm going to be reviewing them, so in case you guys are curious to know about Dirty Bertie, I read 2 in the school library once, and then after that, my dad ordered all of these for me, and I've had these all for 5 weeks now, and I've been reading them for 5 weeks, and this is the order that I put these in. There are 2 different orders. There's on the side of the books it shows one order, but then there's another order that I've heard of, and I'm reading it from the other order. So we're gonna be doing them all. I'm very excited to rent this because this is a video that I've been wanting to make for a long time, ever since I got these books. So we're gonna start off with the first book, known as Worms. So this book is it's, I don't know what, it's an orangey, like brownie, I don't know, I think it's like an orangey colour. It has Bertie holding some worms on it. At the back it has Bertie picking his nose. This is actually used for some other books as well. The 3 stories is Worms. So Worms, basically, Angela has invited him to a party, but he does not want to go, so he has to dress up as something pink, so dresses up as a worm. For manners, there's like a visitor coming into school, and they have to learn manners, and he wants to try and win a prize. And then in rubbish, he wants to throw rubbish away, but then he accidentally ends up throwing one of his like school things away. I kind of like this book. This book was actually quite funny to start off with. It kind of made me laugh a couple of the pages. There are spoilers in this. I don't want to give out really any spoilers, but if you haven't read these books, I don't recommend reading them before watching this, because there might be some spoilers. Next up, we have the second book in the series, Fleas. So this one is green. The title's blue. That one was like yellow, and it has Bertie with Whiffer on it, scratching his head. At the back, it has the same picture of Bertie picking his nose like in the first book. The 3 stories, Fleas. I don't really remember what Fleas was about. Or I remember Bertie had fleas at the start of the book, but then after that I remember by the fact that he went to the vet. In Dare, him and Darren, who is one of Bertie's friends, are playing a game named the Dare Game, and he dares him to lock the school teacher inside the cupboard. And then in Fire, a firefighter like comes around to the school, and they want to help put out a fire. I find this book well, interesting. I mean, the sound of the Dare Game, it just kind of makes me laugh. Just the book, the game being called the Dare Game. This book made me feel a bit emotional towards the fire story, though. I'm sure if I read it again, it might not be the same. Well, these 2 I read at the exact same time, but then, yeah. Next up, we have Pants. Pants, I have got to be honest, Pants is one of my favourite books in the whole series. I've got to be honest, it's so funny. So in Pants, basically, this one is yellow with the red writing, and Bertie has his pants on his head. In the back, it has Bertie using an underwear diaper. In Pants, basically, him and Nicholas going back to the bus, but then he says whoever gets, I don't remember, he made a bet, and it was to come to school in his pants. He gets nervous. In Fame was really funny. He's basically part of like a play, and he wants to perform in it. And then in Poop, Bertie has it's Bertie's birthday, and he wants people to come around to his party, but everyone just goes to Royston Rich, Poop is the first time, well, actually, I think it was the first time Royston appeared in the whole series. But yeah, I really love this one. I would say out of the first 3, Pants was my favourite out of the 3. It was really funny. And it just makes me laugh that in Fame, he tries to sing, and then his dad just is like, Bertie. Anyway, next up, we have Burp. It's red with the yellow writing on it. So it has a picture of Bertie burping. So this book was kind of interesting. At the back it has Wiffer. I understand why it has Wiffer. 3 stories in it, Bert. Now, when I first heard it about Burp, I thought it was going to be like Bertie controlling his burping. It's not like that. It's actually about something that in the school canteen there was like a brand new teacher, and I don't really remember what the teacher was doing, but Bertie didn't really like it. All I remember happening, I keep thinking the teacher was eating all the snacks, but that wasn't in this. That was in Horrid Henry. I just don't remember what happened in Burp. I mean, I just remember it was something to do with food. In Stinky, Susie has a sleepover with Bella, and they're in his room, so he wants both of them to get out of his room. So he's trying to think of a way. And then in Walkies, something to do with Wiffer. Again, I don't really remember much about it. I kind of thought Burp was a bit of an interesting book, especially the fact that I thought it was going to be about Bertie controlling his burps. Just a bit interesting in my opinion. And moving on, we have it's blue, and it has a picture of Bertie holding a candy floss with like a bunch of food in it. At the back, it has Bertie with a hat. So the 3 stories, yuck. He basically wants to go to the fun fair, so then he goes with his gran. I thought it was different. I thought it was going to be about, I don't know, it's a bit like Burp, when I just don't understand the title of the story is different. Then in Beg, I think he wants to, I don't really remember what was in this one. I just remember that he was like waiting out the shop and then like pretending he was poor. And then in the last book, which is Bum, 2 people named Simon and Jenny go round to Bertie's house. And then he sees Baby Molly, and then he ends up teaching Baby Molly his first word. Her first word, I mean. Next up, we have Bodie's. It's red, with Bertie picking his nose. The 3 ones, they have Bertie in a magic kit. We have Bodie's, Potty, and Magic. In Bodie's, basically, a visitor's coming to the store and he tries to meet him without picking his nose. In Potty, he goes on a school trip and they have to do a quiz. And then in Magic, he just gets a box of magics. I kind of thought, I get confused between Bodie and Burp. Like, they're both red. I just get confused on them. And moving on, we have Mud. I don't know, I actually really like Mud. I'm not gonna lie. It has a picture. It's green hair Bertie chasing a football. It shows a picture of Bertie with pictures. The 3 stories are Mud, Cheese, and Spooky. In Mud, he's playing football, and I think he wants to win. I don't remember. Yeah. Alright, sorry about that, but yeah. In Cheese, his mum says that if he stays smart, he will take him to the water park, so he has to try and be smart. And then in Spooky, he goes camping with Darren and Eugene. Kind of makes me laugh about that one, though. I mean, I find these books very interesting. Right, next up, we have a book that I recently did a video on a couple of weeks ago. It's named Germs, so it has that's weird. It just took a picture, but here's it's a green, and it has Bertie wiping his nose. The 3 has Bertie dressed up as a, don't really know what it really is, but the 3 in Germs, basically, his sister named Susie has chicken pox, and he wants to try and catch them. I just feel like that Susie, like, he tries to give her like lemonade, and then he pours it down her dress by accident, and then he like says she's being mean, like. And then in Stomp, it was about something to do with dancing. There was like 2 people. I remember one of the person's name was Keith. I remember it because I remember www.fandom said there was 2 characters named Keith and someone else, and they said they were rude to him. Like Simon and Jenny, obviously. Jenny wasn't rude to them, but I remember seeing them on www.fandom. Yeah, they want to try and win. And then in Zombie, he gets a babysitter around. So try and babysit him. And they have to try and figure out who it is. Anyway, 2 more books of the first series, and the next one is Fetch. I remember Fetch, actually. I really do remember this one. It's blue, and it has Bertie against Whiffer with a stick. The 3 stories, it has Bertie with a corgi. It's called, the first book known as Fetch. Bertie gets a new dog, or a dog robot, and then Whiffer gets jealous. Then in Royal Wedding, it's just like Royal, I think I've heard the term Royal Wedding before, it just matches. Royal, he gets to see Queen Elizabeth, which will explain the corgi. And then in Wedding, he goes to his cousin's wedding. And the final book of series 1 is Fangs. My sister said that I could read this on Halloween. I thought this was a Halloween book, but no, it's not really a Halloween book. It has this one has the black writing instead of yellow like the other 2 did. It has a picture of Bertie as a vampire, and then at the back it has Bertie doing haircut. Fangs, basically, Mr. Grouch. They think Mr. Grouch is eating the teacher's blood, so then he goes over, but then Mr. Grouch is like dressed up as a vampire. In Harry, he has to go to the hairdressers. And then in Fashion was really funny. He uses a lift and then gets lost. Kind of a situation. Okay, so that's it with Series 1. Now let's go to see Series 2. Series 2, I thought Series 2 was actually a bit funnier. Well, I mean, not funnier, but, like, interesting. So starting off, we have Rats. Bertie, basically, this one has a picture of the rats on the top of the signs, and then it's green with Bertie with some rats smiling. I like the way he's smiling, though. It has Whiffer at the back, exactly like Fleas did. And, Burp. On the back, it has Rats, Runner, and Dog Food. Rats is interesting. Bertie gets a new rat named Monty. Keeps him. Then Runner. He has to do cross-country. And he's there to dismiss Miss Boot. Whoever loses gets kissed by Miss Boot between him and Nick. And then in Dog Food, Whiffer's not to have much. And I love I kind of thought Dog Food was interesting, actually. I like this one, actually, really do. Next up, we have Smash. Now, when I first saw Smash, I thought this was actually a spider web. I thought it was Spider. But no, Spider is... I haven't got Spider yet. I will get it from my pocket money, and that will be an upcoming video. But this is actually a Smash. It has Whiffer and Bertie smiling, which I actually thought... Not smiling. Which I actually thought this was going to be something to do with Whiffer smashing something. But no. Here we go. So this is one of my favourite poses from Bertie. It has Smash, which is Bertie accidentally kicks a ball over the fence in the nicest house, and it smashes. And the ending to this story is just so interesting. Like, I reckon you read this. In bingo, there's a school bingo, and then he wants to try and win a new bicycle. And then in Hulls, they end up playing golf with Royston Witch. So yeah, that was Smash. Then I thought we have Toothy. So Toothy was oh yeah, this is another red book, but this one has white instead of black and yellow. So yeah, it has Bertie with his 2 soapmen. They did use that for another book. He's doing his pose again. In Toothy, he's being sent to the dentist because he has an appointment, and he's scared to go because of the man. And I actually thought it was something to do with him losing his tooth, and that would have been interesting to see that in Zoom. They go on an airplane for the first time to a holiday, and then in Hot, Bertie wants to get ice cream for his friends. So yeah, let me just put this back down. But I thought Toothy was an interesting book. I did spend a lot of time reading Toothy, Dinosaur, Scream, all at the same time. Speaking of Scream, next up we have Scream. I thought Scream was interesting. It's black with Bertie next to a ghost. The 3 ones, Scream. Bertie is not allowed to go trick-or-treating, so he pretends his house is a haunted house. In the weekend, Bertie and his family are planning on going on like a road trip. It's a very funny one. And then in Spell, I thought Spell was basically like a witch's spell, but no, it's gonna be it's a spelling bee. I thought that was very interesting, I have to be honest. I like all 3 of them. I mean, I feel like it's very interesting, these books are. And then we have Pond. But with a licking Bertie. It has Whiffer on it again. So in Pond, basically Whiffer smells, so then Bertie tries to sort him out. Snort. I really liked Snort. I thought Snort was very interesting. But in Snort, Nicholas is sleeping. So then Nicholas sleeping, but they're going on a residential, and then Bertie is not with Eugene and Darren, so tries to sneak in different rooms. And then in Smart, don't really remember much about Smart, but the only thing I do remember is that they're building like pyramids with marbles. And I think Whiffer ends up ruining it also. Don't remember. Yeah. Snow is next. I really do remember Snow. Very interesting. But it's Snow first, basically. Snowing, and he's with, like, Angela. I knew Angela was going to be in the book because it has Angela here. But yeah, he's playing with the snow. In Battle, I remember Battle. It was when Bertie has to, like, play with Dad. Like this sort of thing. I don't remember. And I have to be honest, I don't really remember what Record was about. I'm just trying to figure it out. Oh, wait, no. This was the book when they made the marble towers. So I don't... Hang on, I need to check something. Hang on. Okay, now I know. So, in Smart, basically, they designed a straw uniform for the school. So, yeah. So, there you go. Very, very sorry for that. Got really confused with those two just now. Alright, next up we have Ouch. I like this one, actually. It's blue with Bertie doing that. I really like this logo, actually. It has this one again, like in the first few books. Ouch, basically Bertie hurts his thumb when he's trying to play with Mr. Grouch's tools. In Bottom, he forgets his swimming trunks, so has to wear someone else's. I did get confused with Bum in Yuck. I got confused with these two. And then in Brainiac, he is a quiz, and then Bertie is teamed up with some people to answer them. But yeah, interesting that was. I like that one. Kiss is next. I knew it was going to be something to do with Angela. I get confused between Angela and Susie, I can't know. In Kiss, basically, they play this rip-off Truth or Dare game named... Well, I don't think it's a rip-off. It's not a rip-off, but it's like that. But it's named Truth, Dare, Kiss or Promise. And then they kiss to Bertie, and he tries to run away. Well, he did run away. Sorry for this. He's going to run away. In Hamster, Miss Boot tells Bertie to look after the small hamster. And then in Boast, he plays some violin. But yeah, I have to be honest, I really like this one. 2 more books in series 2. First of all is Lou. Bertie basically goes on a school trip, and on the way back, he's desperate to go to the toilet, but Miss Lou just drags him on the bus. There's a picture of Bertie doing it, and I just realised I haven't been saying what they're doing on the photos, but yeah, it shows a picture of him digging. Lou, I told you what Lou is about. He tries to dig the biggest sandcastle. I think Royston Witch was in this book. And then in Move, the family plans to move house, but he does not want to. So you'll find out if you read it. And finally, Crackers is actually a Christmas book. All three of the stories in this book are Christmas themed, except the thing is that Crackers is usually the first book in the series to be the name of the book, but the Crackers is the last book, and the first story is Bah. In Bah, they plan a Christmas play, and then in Elf, to be honest, I remember what Elf was about. His dad is being Santa, and he has to help out, and then in Crackers, a aunt comes around and just doesn't really want them to be there. So yeah, so this is series 2. Let me just put them all back. Okay, so now we're gonna move on to series 3. Series 3 is the most out of the 3 series. Series 3 is like, I don't know how to describe it. So starting off, we have Pirate. So Pirate is one of the very first. Is actually the very second Dirty Bertie book I ever read. I read it at the school library. It has a picture of Bertie and Angela. I really read this. This was the very second one I read. I had it for a long time in the library at school. 3 stories of Pirate. Nicholas wants to get Bertie back for. It was Pirate Day at his school, and he wants to get Nicholas back. Nicholas wants to get Bertie back for surrendering him, and then he ends up drawing his own treasure map. In Burger, Bertie wants to try a burger at Burger Madness, but then they end up going to a restaurant named Restaurant Paradiso. And then in Run, it's Sports Day and Royston, which is in this book. And because this is the very second Dirty Bertie book I read, I didn't know who Royston Rich was until I reread this, and now I know who Royston Rich is because I read some of the other books. And Royston Rich is truly an enemy. But yeah, and then I thought we have Dinosaur. So I have no idea why, but I thought this book was going to be something to do with going to a museum and seeing dinosaurs, mainly because I thought that was Susie. But no, Susie and Angela I just get confused on. But Dinosaur, they want the three, Darren, Eugene, Bertie and Angela want to go and find some dinosaurs. And in Chocolate, there's a chocolate egg. I really thought chocolate was quite funny, but there's some chocolate and they all want to go and find some chocolate, so they end up growing it. And then in Pet Sitter, Bertie has to look after the Nicely's house, which is very interesting. But yeah, this is Dinosaur. I liked Dinosaur, I really did. Okay, so Zombie. Here we go, Zombie. So Zombie was the very first Dirty Bertie book I read. Pirate, which is there, that was the second one I read, but Zombie was the first one I read. It's purple. So yeah, it has Zombie. So I did make a video on this, and this isn't like the Germs zombie book. This is a different zombie. So basically, Darren, Eugene had a sleepover at Bertie's house, and they prank Eugene and pretended he's eating a blood orange, which will turn him into a zombie. And then he ends up sleepwalking, which they think he's being a zombie. So then they try and tell him, but then he just ends up walking. It's quite funny. In Zomba, Bertie is forced to go to Susie's dance class, and Mick Foxford wants him to dance, but then he doesn't. And then he finds out Miss Boo is dancing in a Zomba class. And then in Zoo, Bertie goes to the zoo, and then he gets his head stuck inside the monkey's enclosure. I kind of thought this interesting, and especially the fact that with Pirate, I had that book for a long time, and I just read over. Zombie, I didn't have it for that much. I only had Zombie for 3 weeks, and, well, obviously I had it, and then we had 1 week off, and then we had, like, 3 weeks, and then I got it. I didn't really read this one compared to Zombie, so I'm glad I read it again. Especially the fact that the ending of Zomba, it made me want to read it again. The ending of Zomba is so crazy. Next up we have Horror. So, Horror is interesting. Gran has someone with her, and then they go to the cinema and watch a movie, and he wants to watch a horror movie. Splodge, can I just... Oh, yeah, so they go to, like, a painting museum, and, it's like, he accidentally squirts one of the paintings with a splat gun, and then grr is the last one. He ends up being like delivering papers to people, and then at the end, he meets this like rough dog. The thing I like about this book is that they reference Zoo from the zombie book in here. It's like in the second story. I mentioned him about getting stuck with the monkeys. And next up we have Jackpot. So bearing in mind, I keep getting confused with Jackpot and Fame. I think both books just... I don't know, I just get confused. But yeah, Jackpot has Bertie with lots of money. At the back has his ninja pose. Jackpot, Bertie thinks that his gran has run the lottery. So tries to go and find Gran, and then he ends up mishearing, or I don't know how to describe it, but yeah, he thinks that Gran's won the lottery. In Crumbs, everyone's supposed to make a cake, and Miss Nicely's teaching. I just feel like Miss Nicely is just like such a jerk to Bertie in this book. Like in Worms, she said that Bertie was such a nice kid, and then in this one, she just moans at Bertie a lot. And then in Demon Dolly, Susie wants to get Bertie back after he threw Molly away like a doll. The only thing I don't like about this book is all three of the stories in this book don't really have happy endings, shall I say. Like, don't really want to say it how. Then we have Master. Oh man, I love Master, I have to be honest. So, before you look at the title, you see footballs, don't think it's like mud. It's not like mud when he's playing football. He's being the mascot. And it says Bertie's 30th book, but yeah, I kind of got confused on that because I didn't read it as 30th book. But in mascot, basically he's prepared to be the mascot for the football team, and the SWAT camp, he's ended up going on the SWAT camp with Eugene. And then in Robot Wars, he ends up having a Robot Wars with some other straws. I think they're the same books, people from the Ouch book. But yeah, I like this one. I like the fact that the linesman like keeps shouting at Bertie, whereas the referee is like not really shouting. Monster, I read Monster recently. In Monster, they want to prank Nicholas by painting his face green, pretending he's a Frankenstein. But in Busters, he sees some people playing a band, and he wants to try and do that. And then in Rocky, he ends up going on like a cliff. Yeah. Last three might have to be quick. Disco, I thought that was Susie at first, but no, it's actually Angela. He gets tricked and pretending he has to bring the lady to the dance party, so he ends up bringing Angela. Then in the Great Escape, he wants to go to the fun fair with Grandma, but then they end up going to someone else. And then in Slave, he is being Royston Rich's slave. Be very interesting. I just feel like that Royston Witch and Nicholas are like two enemies in Bertie. Aliens. I recently read Aliens like a couple days back. In Aliens, he wants to see aliens in Eugene's new telescope. And then in Twitter, he goes bird watching with Eugene and his dad. And then in Report, Bertie's report is around, but then he swaps it. But yeah, I like... and then the final book, Fame, not the Fame from Pants, the different Fame. I might do a video comparing them soon, like I did with Zombie from Germs and the original and the other Zombie. But in Fame, Bertie's performing to do an advert, and then he's going to be on TV. The thing that reminds me is that it does reference the Fame from Pants, so that's interesting to see that. Fishy, I read Fishy earlier today. He wants to capture a fish. And then Outlaw, he's pretending to be Robin Hood. And then that is all of the books. So, there are 6 more, but I haven't got them yet, so I will get them. after this. And right now, I'm going to put these in rainbow order.